Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day?
Hello everyone, my name's Dean, Let's Talk Crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is October 15th, 2025. And yes, this altcoin move, this big altcoin move that I've been talking about, that I've been tracking, is indeed happening. It's all over the charts, all over every indicator that I have available. And I'll tell you also that most people's initial targets are way too low. We're going to talk about that today. Also, as usual, we're going to look at Bitcoin and what Bitcoin's likely doing on the small time frames. If that sounds interesting to you, then watch until the very end. Hope everyone's having a great day. Let's get into it. Let's get started with Bitcoin on the hourly time frame. Okay, here's the deal with Bitcoin. After making this 16%, I think it was 16% drop on the 10th of October, famous drop, right? People are like, I can't explain it. Why did Bitcoin drop? There's no reason for it to drop. Like, nobody was selling. This is a clear misunderstanding of price action and how price moves, why it moves at all. All right? But you're not confused. You understand when price moves impulsively, it's because it is the conclusion of some sort of consolidation. You understand that because you watch this channel. So after that, what do we have? We have a regathering. It's kind of a bounce. It's kind of a relief rally. This is the definition of a relief rally, right? It's approximately 62% of the way back up. It's a, regular relief rally bounce. If you take your Fibonacci retracement tool from the top of that move on the 10th to the bottom, you'll see that the 618, the Fibonacci retracement level that you expect zigzags, elite wave zigzags to target, is indeed targeted. And at the same time, for those of you who are paying attention, the 7-4 has not been touched. And that 7-4 is my personal invalidation for a zigzag. So basically, you can wick above the 618. Just as long as you don't touch the 7-4, you're still within, that's just a wick above the 618. So basically, that's what you're getting. You got a relief rally to this region, and price has been stuck for Bitcoin in this region. And that is the channel that you should be looking at. That's what you should be analyzing if you want to understand what Bitcoin's doing, what it's likely doing. Okay, so let's actually do that. Let's do this manually because I don't want to get too much color in here. So let's just put our top resistance, our bottom support. It's about here. Okay, let's clean that up. Let's make it like that. And then as you know, because it's a channel, it has a midline or a heart line or a point of control. And that's our point of control more or less. Could have done this with the channel tool, but I just don't want to make this too noisy. There's enough color and enough graphics as it is. So that's the channel that Bitcoin's currently in. And this is the channel that you should be tracking Bitcoin in. So as I said, the initial break was to the top of the channel right here. Okay. And actually, since that was the initial break, we should use that to set the top. Like so. Technically speaking, that initial break marks the top of your channel. Okay, so that's exactly what we're looking at. And so you've come down to the bottom of the channel. You went back up, down, up. You're expecting a move up here. Okay, and if we're counting this with Elliott wave AB base, it is one break, like an A wave, and a counter. Okay, that's my first pair of AB bases. This will be my second pair right here. I'm expecting a move back up to this region of 115, 116 as a result. Okay, in the immediate short term, Bitcoin's likely to give you that move to 115, 116. But again, remember, Bitcoin is not at all bullish. Even though we're super bullish on many altcoins, not all altcoins, but many altcoins, we are not at all bullish on Bitcoin, all right? Just because it moves up nominally and it gives you a move from 111 to 116 doesn't mean it's bullish, right? That 3% move is nothing. It's still extremely dangerous because we're doing this analysis on the small time frame. There's margin for error. At any point in time, when it's ready, it can break down. The higher probability read, if you step back on the higher time frame, is that this is the next move, right? To 90K. We talked about that, right? So that is basically what we are preparing to do. We're just looking on the smaller time frames and speculating what's likely happening. Please understand that. But the next big move is a big move down to 90K with a high degree of probability for Bitcoin. In any case, on the smaller time frames, we're still waiting for that move to 115, 116. And then if we're counting it in terms of AB bases, like I said, one, this would be two. I'm looking for a third one like this, a pivot like this. So in my estimation, in my professional assessment, Bitcoin has yet to go up to around 115, 116, then pivot down to 112, and then back up to 115, 116 before it nukes down. I still need that impulsive leg of my second counter and then my pivot before a move down. Okay, that's what I'm tracking in Bitcoin. But again, Bitcoin's not at all bullish, and this is not at all something you want to play with bullishly. The safe trade here is to trade Bitcoin short, meaning to anticipate in the near term Bitcoin's going to give you a bigger move down. Just because on the smaller time frames we're looking for smaller moves up, that's not the trade, all right? So just keep that in mind. This gives you the chance, the opportunity to de-risk. If you're in a Bitcoin position, if you're heavy on Bitcoin, and you're in the 100 and teens, this is a great opportunity to de-risk, get the hell out of the way, because, I mean, the next one's coming down back to 90 with a high degree of probability. In any case, that's enough about Bitcoin. This is what we're seeing. The story is altcoins. And yes, this altcoin move is happening. And in the previous couple of videos, I was talking about how it was very clear that this altcoin move was coming given what we're seeing in Bitcoin dominance, and how Bitcoin dominance on the higher time frame gave us that move initiating the completion of this almost 800 day or 800 plus day channel. Okay, the midline retest of this channel tells us that this channel is about to be completed, about to be broken down from, and that's exactly what we've gotten. And we're pretty much in an intra-wave correction. So let's zoom down a little bit on the 4-hourly time frame. And I talked about this in the previous episode, so I'm not going to belabor the point. But what you can see here is wave down, intra-wave correction, wave down, another intra-wave correction. Nothing more, nothing less. I understand it is frustrating. I understand it is like, okay, can it happen? Like, you know, let's get on with it. Like, what's going on? Is it not happening? We waited long enough. I get it. But if you just look at it technically, all you're doing is you came down here and you're putting in this intra-wave correction. It's a 3-wave move. That third wave is your impulse, and that should be the final move of this mini intra-wave correction, after which the larger trend resumes. That is very exciting. This is happening. There is no universe. I'm speaking hyperbolically, but just speaking plainly here. There's no universe where this, oh yeah, sorry, psych, goes up. It doesn't work like that. This is a quintessential swing failure pattern. You went in. If it's fast, it won't last. It didn't. You come back down. You do whatever you got to do, and you complete the swing failure pattern. Okay? That's exactly what you see in those swing failure pattern type moves. Okay? And you don't have the base for this to be a base. Anyway, however you look at this, there's nothing bullish about this. So if Bitcoin dominance is likely to move down, that means altcoins are about to surge. All right. Now, if you look at Bitcoin dominance carefully enough, you should come to the same conclusion with a high degree of probability. Now, also, look at what altcoins are telling you. All right. Now we've switched to Coinglass.com. This is a free tool, free indicator. You can access a lot of different time frames, a lot of different assets can be accessed through a free account, which I have. I haven't paid for this. I like model number 2 as per usual. So I'm going on model number 2 for altcoins, which is an aggregate indicator for altcoins on in crypto. And it is a super chart. So it's showing me the liquidity for altcoins in aggregate on one chart. And I'm looking at the 3-month chart because that's the highest time frame they have available, at least for the free version. So I can clearly see the October 10th deleveraging event, right? That literally took everything to zero, or things pretty close to zero, asymptotically to zero, and then the bounce up from that. Now, what I want you to understand is this. This is a really easy chart to interpret. The neon stuff, the bright colored stuff, that's liquidity. And you want to go towards liquidity. That's where price wants to go towards. So prior to the deleveraging event, you can't say there was a lot of liquidity down here, but there were small amounts of liquidity, at least enough to go hunt. And you can ask and you can question why certain things went down so low. And I don't necessarily think that that's a measure of, because, technically that was exactly what they had to do. You did see a lot of exaggerated moves, capitulative moves, cascades of liquidations only because of liquidation engines failing and, leverage being entered into the mix in altcoins, very low liquidity, shorts covering, all that stuff, making it so that things are pushed down almost excessively, artificially low. And you can see exactly what I'm saying. Do me a favor, if you're confused as to what I just said, pull up your favorite altcoin, look at the futures trading pair. So every exchange that trades futures has altcoin USDTP or USDT futures contract. Look at that pair and then look at the spot pair. And you should see that those two charts are divergent. There's the leverage pair went down much further, significantly further. This is what I'm trying to say. The big move down you saw isn't pure technicals. If you want the closest thing to the pure technicals, look at the spot pair. But if you want to see, why certain things were pushed down more than they should have been, it's more to do with the fact that there's a lot of excessive leverage and stuff that need to be covered, spots that needed to be covered. So that's why you did see things go close to zero. They didn't die. They went close to zero and they bounced right back up. Now, we're in this bounce up and it's very clear where it's heading. And it's not stopping here because, look, the liquidity for these altcoins is about 100% to the upside. It's very clear right here. You're around 0.02. All the strong liquidity bands are around 0.04. That's a 100% move. Okay? This is what you should expect. Baseline. That is an average move for what I'm saying we're on the brink of doing. You can see the same thing just looking at the others chart. Again, others is what I prefer to look at this point in time where we are in the market cycle for altcoins and what altcoins are doing. Okay? And like I said in the previous two episodes, we are clearly in this 500-day channel, and we clearly did some sort of flat correction, okay? And this right here is the very telling cascade of liquidation. It's kind of like the final move of any corrective pattern. It's WXY, ABC. That last move, WXYXZ, that last move is always impulsive, and it always signifies or signals the end of the corrective pattern. This is what that is. All right. And so after that, then you resume the trend. So we resume the trend. Where does this trend go? Well, you were at resistance here. That's 500 days of resistance, by the way. You knocked your head on it. You came down. What's next? You break resistance, and then you retest the midline. But when you're breaking the channel, you don't stop at this point. Okay? Maybe intra-wave, you make a little move like that, but then you basically keep going until you break the entire channel. And when channels break, they break the height of the channel superimposed from the site of breakout. That's what you're getting here in terms of your final target for this move. And then you don't come back down to the top. You have to retest the point of control. And after that, you matriculate up and out of the channel, retesting the top, and then so on and so forth. Okay? So if you look from where we're at right now in on the others chart to where the target is to the upside, that's about a 418% move. Yeah? And I talked about that. I think last video I measured it as 323. I think that measurement was a bit off. So you're looking at like a 5x, right? When the move is complete. Now this move is going to probably get cut up. It's not going to go in a straight line. Like I said, this is an important level right here. This is an important resistance of 500 days. So at some point you're probably going to do something like this. So if you break that move up, you're probably going to do the first one by here. Let's put this in properly. And again, I'm splitting hairs here, but essentially it's a big move. That's all you should take from this. It's a big move. It's probably going to look something like this. Okay, nothing goes in a straight line. This is going back in time traveling impulse, but whatever. I think you get the gist. Something like this. Okay, that's your 5 waves of impulse. And what I really want to drive home or emphasize is the fact that your first move, we saw in that liquidation chart, it's about 100% move, yeah, for the altcoins in aggregate. Look at this wave 1. Look at what this wave 1 does. 100%. There's confluence in the other chart and in the on-chain liquidity data. That first move before any kind of retracement is giving you more or less 100%. Now, it's up to you to see, okay, well, is it going to go in a straight line? Is it not going to go in a straight line? You have to treat every altcoin on a case-by-case basis, because some are just going to go insane and probably rip off a few X, right? 3, 4, 500%. You have to do everything on a case-by-case basis. But I believe that just basic technical analysis would say that this is a resistance you came up against for a while, right? 500 days of resistance. You eventually break that resistance and you hit your next resistance, which is going to be the top of this 500-day channel. That's going to be your point of retracement, and you do a 62% retracement, retesting previous resistances, new support before you move on. That's your first big move. 100%. How many analysts have altcoins? Not every altcoin, very important, but the bullish altcoins, if they can identify bullish altcoins, going 100% just off the rip, no retracements. That's why most people's targets are too low. And most people aren't even seeing this target, because this is more of an advanced trade. You got to time it, you got to look, and you got to see whatever. But for the majority of folks, this is the target right here that you want, because you just, whatever this retracement is, it doesn't matter. You're in impulse. Just let it ride until the final target, and this is the big retracement. That is the move. This is why most people are underestimating this altcoin boom, this first move of altcoin, which is called the disbelief rally on the Psychology of a Market Wall Street cheat sheet. So that's my analysis for today. Hope this was helpful, useful. Like, share, and subscribe if you got value. Consider my crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation service, where you can trade directly with me one-on-one, up to 5 altcoins. I help you determine if your altcoins are indeed bullish on a high time frame, and so if they can enjoy this kind of impulsive momentum, because not every altcoin is bullish. There's certain altcoins that won't even come close to that 100%. They're going to do more what Bitcoin's doing, so just kind of ranging very, very, very slightly to the upside before moving down much more. So that's crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation. Also, we identify levels of high probability resistance and support where you can snowball your profits. And then I also have single asset analysis. It's a little less pricey than crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation, and it's for people who just want my take on one asset, and it's pre-recorded. It's not live. Just pay the fee, email me, and then within 24 hours you should get that analysis, and I'll just send it to your email inbox, and then you can follow up with a couple of questions if you have any. Right, that's it for me. Take care. Good luck. Bye.
I vocalize, too deep to localize, even when I'm right on the surface. You act surprised how I work this, but I can't lie. Many a good alibi. I'll catch you later. Visions are vividly enhanced with emphasis and amethyst to develop morale advantages which help us manifest magnanimous. We body vitals like evangelists. So listen when you're dealing with people who be revealing premonitions with precision. At least that's what I'm aiming at for now. I speak the language of the world, meandering throughout the crowd. Used to feel safe to say anything, but now it's a risk. It's hard for me to let go when all I can do is reminisce. Gone like the wind, here's where I begin. Should I smile or should I